Okay, just to get an idea, who here has heard of Khan Academy? Oh, awesome. Whoa. Who's used Khan Academy to learn something? Who here is just like, what is this weird Khan Academy thing? Okay. Okay, good. We're in a good spot. So the amount of educational content that's available online right now is just exploding. And meanwhile, everybody's still trying to figure out what should that content look like and how can we make it fast enough. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page, I'm going to start with a quick montage of the videos that got Khan Academy on the map. So here we go.
We could integrate over the surface, and the notation usually is a capital sigma. All of these interactions are just due to the gravity over interstellar, or almost you could call it intergalactic. This animal's fossils are only found in this area of South America, a nice clean band here. Notice this is an aldehyde, and it's an alcohol. Ours is their 30 million plus the $20 million from the American manufacturer. They create the Committee of Public Safety, which sounds like a very nice committee.
This is not Eve.
No, Botticelli's portrayed the ancient goddess of love.
This is 6 times 6 times 6, or 216.
I'm told the humidity makes it feel hotter. Why is this?
Excellent question, LeBron.
Let's just like make it 11.
Play with the pendulum and get a feel for how it moves.
Function as a bridge rectifier.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
If this does not blow your mind, then you have no emotion.
So that's how Khan Academy got to where it is now. In the past couple of years, we've been adding a suite of interactive exercises to complement that. So students can directly manipulate math. They can learn from anything from 1 plus 1 through advanced calculus. The program will learn about how they're doing and what they know and what they don't know and suggest paths to them, all while they're trying to learn using those educational videos and using this interactive platform that you're seeing here. So that content, those videos, those interactive exercises, that's changing all sorts of people's lives. And one thing I've been impressed with at Khan Academy is just how many different situations and different walks of life people can be in when they need free online educational content. I'm just going to share a couple quick quotes. I didn't have to go back far to find these. I went through about a month of the letters that get sent to Khan Academy. Here are some situations people are in. I'm a retired businessman, 79 years old. I've been depressed and I skipped about a third of the semester. I'm an adult returning to school for a midlife career change. I'm from Hong Kong. When I was a kid, I don't like math. I'm a grandmother just starting to homeschool 4 children. I graduated in music and haven't been able to find a decent job. I'm a young girl who can't afford tutoring. I'm a 14-year-old who loves astronomy and cosmology. I lost my job of 20 years as a medical transcriber. About a year ago, I chose to get homeschooled. I just do it for fun. I graduated from college 6 years ago. I'm 11 years old and I have dyslexia. MIT is not my dream, it is my goal. This is just a small subset of the situations people are in which access to free online education changed their lives so much that they sent us long letters telling us their story. And that's just a sample. At Khan Academy, we've had 1.8 billion math problems done. That works out to about 4 million math problems done on a good school day. Just today, just right now, this is live, we're about to tick over 16,000 hours of video watched. That works out to about 3 years of online educational content watched every single day. And that's just Khan Academy. There's a whole community of people creating this content. We need more of this content. We need a lot more of this content. We need to cover everything. We need it to be available for everybody from different perspectives, from different educators, and in all languages. That's a difficult problem that I want to talk about. But before I do that, I just want to take one step back and just think about what can online educational content be like? How interesting could it be? What can an online experience be like? So here's a thought experiment. Imagine that you wanted to teach your friend, your parent, your students, whoever, about the Apollo 11 moon landing. What could online education help with that? Well, there's this website out there, it's called firstmenonthemoon.com. They took the original video footage of the lunar module as it was landing on the moon, and the original audio that was going back and forth between Apollo and Mission Control, and the original audio within Mission Control, and all the data going back and forth, and they synced it all up into this cool interactive experience. I'm just going to click play here so you get a feel for it. But when I do, try to listen for a 12:02 alarm going off. That's just minutes before Neil Armstrong is about to land on the moon.
Houston, you're looking at our Delta 8.
Looks good.
That's affirmative. Program
Looks good.
Looking
Is he
good to us,
accepting his
over.
guidance?
The 1202. 1202.
Looks like it's converging.
1202 alarm. Citizen.
Yeah, and the same thing we had.
Flight, retro.
Go retro.
Throttle down, 6 plus 25. Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm. We're going that flight.
We're going that alarm.
Roger, we got you. We're going that alarm. We go.
Quite tell what happened, and not just because the audio recording is scratchy when you're going back and forth from the moon, but also because there's just a lot going on in a NASA mission, right? But when you experience this not on a stage, when you're sitting down and experience this on your own, I can scroll up the left-hand side and I can find where they say 1202 alarm and I can click it and replay it. I can hover over 1202 and get a little bit of context about what that alarm means. I can click on anybody's name on this side and figure out what their job is in mission control and what they had to do with that alarm. I can figure out that what that 1202 alarm, what that actually meant is that the lunar module, when it was landing, had too much data coming into its computer, and so it had to shut itself down and drop its lowest priority tasks and then restore all of its state. I don't know what the low priority tasks are when you land on the moon, if they're like running Dropbox or something. I don't really understand. But I think that's a cool bit of history that I would have missed if I hadn't been able to dive into this historical experience at my own pace and pick out what I thought was interesting and double click where I thought was interesting and really dive in. So here's the question. Oh, one more little tidbit. You can also see Neil Armstrong's heart rate through this entire thing, which is cool. It was 122 when the alarm went off. It was 150 when he lands on the moon, which is impressive because in front of you, I'm like 200 or 300 at least right now. So why isn't this experience, why can't I step into any historical event that has happened and play the live thing and double click on whoever's name was involved and see the data and dive into that? Why can't I have that sort of immersive experience when I'm learning 5th grade math or calculus or physics? These are all topics we teach at Khan Academy. Or art history or biology. Why can't I step into a virtual lab and be presented with a problem and solve it with people? That's a lot of time what you think about when you think about the future of sci-fi educational technology, right? What stands between that, where we are now, which is really effective, and that future? I think we're going to get there eventually, but it's a really, really, really long way off. It's totally impractical to think about right now. It's totally impractical partially because it's so early in the world of online education. It's so early that we compare it to when the television first came out. When television first came out, we didn't really understand how to use that medium. Right, so we took the best radio shows, the best radio announcers, and we took that content and we just shoved it into a television because we didn't really know what else to do with a television. That's very similar to our first attempts at online education. We took some great professors and some great classes, and then we set up a video camera in the back and filmed it and put it on, shove it into the internet and an online education. Right? And I don't mean to be derogatory at all. That's actually revolutionary. To give away great university content for free to anybody is a groundbreaking, as a daring idea, right? But it wasn't rethinking from first principles, what can online education be? This TV comparison with TV and radio, it's actually interesting because taking great radio content and shoving it into a television doesn't make for very interesting television content. It also actually hurts radio content, which is interesting because radio is good at sounds, right? At evoking images through sounds. So if you want your radio listener to think of a horse, you can have a guy stand there with 2 halves of a coconut and clap them together really quickly, and then it sounds like this. That sounds a lot like a horse. But if you have this new television medium that you put that show on and you point a television camera at that same production, then it looks like this.
Hold up here! We'll sit.
Right, so it doesn't so much, that reminds you more of Monty Python than a horse, right? Right, so this isn't rethinking from first principles, what can television do? And that reminds me of, if I was a professor and I was teaching a great class and somebody walked into the back of the classroom and they set up a television camera and they said, "Congratulations, you're now teaching this class and you're teaching the world." That'd be pretty difficult. I wouldn't know how to interact with my students. Do I call on people? Can I have an inside joke? I don't know, which medium am I optimizing for here, my classroom? Right, and so we need to start to think about educational content that is made for the internet and for the devices and students consuming it. And that does not mean that a student is sitting alone in front of a computer and that's their only education, not by a long shot. This content can be used in classrooms, it can be used by teachers, it can be used by parents with your mentor or whoever. It just means that the content is built for these consumers, for these students. I think that's a lot of what made Sal's video so successful. When you watch Sal's video, you're not witnessing somebody else's education, right? This feels like somebody's talking to you, not somebody else. You don't even see Sal's face. It feels like Sal's sitting next to you and sketching on a piece of paper, maybe the way a good tutor would. So if we want more of that, if we want more content like that to cover everything we need to cover, if we want more first men on the moon for all historical experiences, we need to build much better tools for more online educators to build more content that is thought of as content for free online from first principles. How good can it be? If you are an artist, if you're a graphic designer, what tools do you have available that make you a better artist, right? Photoshop has to be one of the most powerful tools on the planet. I could go through screenshot after screenshot of tools that will turn you into a better artist. If you're a musician and you walk into an Apple store, you can't walk out of the store without having a device that has GarageBand pre-installed on it, right? And GarageBand lets you lay down music tracks. You used to have to go to a studio and pay thousands of dollars to record, right? You can become a better musician, a better artist. Extremely cool tools are available for you. What if you're an educator? Specifically, what if you're an educator who wants to make your content available to the world? What tools do you have available to you? This is an important need, and the tools right now are very primitive. We're working on that at Khan Academy. This is our version of Photoshop. It's a stretch to call it that. What you're seeing here is a content creator. We work with a bunch of online educators who make content, and they make this interactive math content. You're seeing them construct different problems that students will have to interact with and solve. If they're teaching somebody geometry, they can add all sorts of little widgets. They can add a protractor widget to the page, and then the student will be able to interact with the widget and be able to solve whatever problem the online educator constructs. The educator doesn't have to be a programmer to construct this stuff. They have to be a great educator, and they have great tools to make great content for the internet, for solving this need. I was talking to a developer at Facebook the other day about this problem. He said, you have to think about this the way that the makers of Grand Theft Auto think about making their video games. Right? Grand Theft Auto is this game with this enormous city of stuff you interact with. There's a police station and a hospital, all these different buildings. You can ride a bike, you can play tennis, you can golf, you can ride a roller coaster, you can trade on the stock market. That's all the legal stuff you are supposed to do in that game, right? How do you program all that stuff? How do you make that? I mean, it does cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but how do you make that? Well, he said, you take a core group of engineers and you make an engine. You make this engine that has tools and widgets in it, and then you have scads of content creators around that engine. And one content creator can say, I'm going to make the hospital, and one content creator makes the police station, and one makes the tennis mission, and one makes this other thing. We're not going to be able to make Grand Theft Auto anytime soon in the world of online education. That's probably a good thing. That's okay. But we can take that same paradigm and start to create the content that can cover all of these important topics that we cover. 5th grade math, art history, biology, calculus, physics. That's just a small sample of the amount of educational content we need to solve this problem. And we need it from multiple perspectives. And we're only going to get that if we get more educators and if we give them great tools. Just to throw one more wrench in the works, we also have to do all of that for every language on the planet, which is a pretty challenging problem because our goal is a free world-class education for anybody, anywhere. So it's not just for people speaking English, right? We have to solve all this stuff for every language. That sounds like science fiction. I'm going to show you this video just to prove that it's not totally science fiction. This is the beginning of our translation effort.
Ya tengo mis 4 pedazos. Así que tenemos 4 partes iguales.
L'hypoténuse commune, ok, qui est de même longueur. Donc je te rappelle que l'hypoténuse c'est en fait bien le
توجد قطعتين من معدن النحاس والزنك الموصولتين بأسلاك توصيل.
आपने मुझे कई वीडियोस में लफ्ज एब्स्ट्रैक्ट इस्तेमाल करते हुए सुना होगा. मैं बहुत इस्तेमाल करता हूं और मैं इस वीडियो में इसको कोई वाज़ेह इसकी कोई डेफिनेशन देने की कोशिश नहीं करूंगा बल्कि
結局市役所前の広場に設置することに決め
Sadece 3/4'tür. Eğer 48 ve 64'ün her ikisine birden.
Mas é claro que ele fez muitas e muitas e muitas outras coisas importantes.
I'm Zaya from Mongolia. Your videos are so interesting and funny. Make more lessons.
Make more lessons. That's the challenge from Zaya. Zaya was one of our students in Mongolia, and she's actually now translating our content and adding to our library. So she is one of these content creators that we are building better tools for, in her case, translation tools. So I want to share with you one more story to try to impress upon you what I think is the importance of this problem. This is a letter that we were sent to Khan Academy just recently as one that kind of stuck out for me. Hi, my name is Chelsea and I'm a college student. When I was 19 years old, I was kicked out of a great university because I had terrible grades. My disappointed parents cut me off financially, so I began working night shifts to support myself. The truth is, I had no desire to go to school because learning had always seemed very distant from reality to me. Everyone expected me to be in school, but no one could tell me why. Success in school felt like something you either had or you didn't, and I had been getting C's since middle school. I stumbled across your videos about math. I hated math. I watched them anyway. I don't know why, but I did. I loved them. I continued watching videos, chemistry, programming, physics. I'm 24 now, and I'm in college pursuing a degree in computer engineering, and I have straight A's. Sal's videos made me feel like I had the capacity for understanding math and science, even though my parents never sent me to space camp, and I never won a ribbon at a science fair in elementary school. Chelsea's just one person who decided to write us out of the massive numbers of people who are using Khan Academy to help their education. And that's just Khan Academy. There's a whole community of people creating this content. It's fun to think about what the world would be like if there were thousands, hundreds of thousands of people like Chelsea who, instead of being discouraged and getting C's and dropping out of school, instead found the content that they wanted and were able to go through at their own pace and were inspired and are studying computer engineering and getting straight A's. It's fun to think about what the world would be like if there were 4 times as many people working on a cure for cancer as there are right now because they have access to education. Or thinking about a world where just a couple kids who were going to become child soldiers instead have access to an education in their own language and decide to study something instead. Those are kind of crazy statements to throw out there, but I think we're all lucky to be alive at a time where you're not totally insane to consider such a thing. Thank you, guys.